Urgent, Caruso makes a strong statement about the Lakers after the Thunder's title. Stay until the end to find out everything. But first, leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any Lakers news. The 2025 NBA Finals have concluded, and the Oklahoma City Thunder has emerged as the new champion. Among the celebrating players, one name stood out, not only for his performance on the court but for the storm he unintentionally stirred afterward: Alex Caruso. This title marks the second NBA championship in Caruso's career. The first came back in 2020 when he played for the Los Angeles Lakers during the now infamous bubble season, a playoff held in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic under restricted and unique conditions. That win was both celebrated and scrutinized due to the unprecedented environment in which it occurred. But this new title with the Thunder came with no such asterisks: full arenas, grueling travel, roaring fans, and the full weight of NBA competition. So, when Caruso stepped in front of the press for a post-game interview, emotions were high. The champagne was still flowing, the locker room electric. Then came the quote that would go viral: "Now I've got a real ring. Nobody can say a damn thing." That sentence, captured by Thunder beat reporter Derek Parker, exploded across social media within minutes. What should have been a night of celebration quickly turned into a social media firestorm. Lakers fans, who had long embraced Caruso as a cult hero, a fan favorite, and a symbol of heart over hype, felt betrayed. The backlash was swift and fierce. Thousands of Lakers loyalists took to X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and TikTok to voice their disapproval. One user sarcastically commented, "You love throwing up two fingers for the camera, huh? Guess only one counts now." Another wrote, "Man just ran over all his former teammates with a championship bus." Some were more blunt, posting things like, "Hated you from today on. Congrats. I was a fan until now. That's done." The reactions weren't just emotional, they were personal. For many Lakers supporters, especially those who held that 2020 title close to their hearts in such a difficult year, Caruso's comment felt like a slap in the face. After all, he was more than a role player during that bubble run. He symbolized hustle, grit, and the underdog spirit of that squad. To hear him seemingly dismiss that championship as less real hurt deeply. Later that same night, perhaps realizing the ripple effect of his words, Caruso logged onto social media to clarify his intentions. He tweeted, "I was 3 beers deep, it was sarcasm. 2 rings. It was a light-hearted, if slightly buzzed, attempt to walk back the damage." But the timing and tone couldn't undo what had already been felt by a portion of the fanbase. His tweet did little to mend fences. To some, it read like an excuse. To others, it confirmed that his earlier statement had at least some truth to it. What began as a triumphant evening for Caruso ended in division. Instead of basking in praise, he found himself answering critics, explaining himself to a fan base that had once adored him. The celebration had been marred by a few words that reignited an old debate and sparked a new rivalry. But beyond the noise, beyond the trending hashtags and viral memes, the question lingers: did Caruso mean what he said, or was it just heat of the moment bravado? One thing is certain: this wasn't just about a comment. It tapped into a deeper, ongoing conversation in the NBA community, about legitimacy, loyalty, and what truly defines a championship. And for Caruso, the path forward will now be shaped by more than his defense and three-point shooting. It will be shaped by how he handles the weight of his words, and whether Lakers fans ever truly forgive him. To understand the controversy surrounding Alex Caruso's post-game comment, we have to revisit one of the most unusual chapters in NBA history, the 2020 bubble season. That year, the world was paralyzed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Cities shut down. Sports leagues went silent. The NBA suspended its season in March, unsure if it would even return. But months later, in a bold move, the league created a sealed environment, the bubble, at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. It was a last-ditch effort to finish the season safely. No fans. No travel. No home court advantage. Just 22 teams isolated from the world, competing under strict health protocols. The atmosphere was surreal. Players were confined to hotel rooms, tested daily, and played in eerily silent arenas with giant video boards replacing crowds. The mental strain was real. Some players described it as a mix between a tournament and a psychological experiment. But through that strange environment, the Lakers found their rhythm. Led by LeBron James and Anthony Davis, the team stormed through the playoffs. And at the heart of their defensive identity was a role player who embodied grit and hustle: Alex Caruso. Game after game, Caruso brought relentless energy, diving for loose balls, locking down scorers, and hitting timely threes. His effort wasn't flashy, but it was essential. In many ways, he became the symbol of what made that Lakers team special: a blue-collar force on a star-studded roster. When the Lakers defeated the Miami Heat in 6 games to win the championship, it was seen as a triumph of resilience, adaptability, and discipline. But almost immediately, critics began to downplay the victory. Some pundits and fans labeled it the asterisk championship, arguing that the unique conditions made it easier for teams to succeed. There were no road crowds to silence, no jet lag, no travel fatigue. And for teams like the Lakers, built on veteran leadership, the bubble's controlled environment minimized injury risks and distractions. On the other side of the debate were those who believed the bubble made things harder, not easier. They argued that mental fortitude became more important than ever. Without fans or outside motivation, players had to manufacture intensity every night. Isolation, anxiety, and monotony took a toll. Staying focused for months in that environment required extreme discipline. Even LeBron James, after hoisting the 2020 trophy, took to social media to clap back at critics. What they gonna say now? Fast forward to 2025, and those wounds are still fresh. That's why Caruso's statement, "Now I've got a real ring," cut so deep. To some, it reopened the old argument: was the 2020 championship somehow less legitimate? For many Lakers fans, the bubble wasn't just a title, it was a beacon of hope during dark times. The world was locked down. People were losing loved ones. Watching the Lakers lift that trophy gave millions a rare reason to smile. It was about more than basketball. That's what makes Caruso's remark feel, to some, like a betrayal. It wasn't just about questioning a championship. It was about dismissing what that championship meant, emotionally and historically. And while Caruso might have intended his words as a playful jab, or even as sarcasm, the context around that title is still sensitive. It's a reminder that, in sports, the narrative around a win can be just as powerful as the win itself. In a league where legacy is constantly debated, and where fans cling fiercely to the moments that define their teams, even a single offhand comment can carry massive weight. Caruso, who once represented everything scrappy and lovable about that Lakers run, now finds himself on the opposite side of a fierce public conversation. And perhaps the real question isn't whether the 2020 title was real, but whether any championship can ever be judged purely by the conditions in which it was won. Because in the end, every ring tells a story, and the bubble ring told one unlike any other. If Alex Caruso's words sparked a backlash, his performance on the court told a different story, one of redemption, transformation, and purpose. While the comment after the championship may have overshadowed the moment in headlines, true basketball fans know Caruso earned every bit of this title with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The 2024-25 NBA season had been a whirlwind. The Thunder, once considered a rebuilding project just a few seasons earlier, had quietly built one of the most exciting and cohesive young rosters in the league. With Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ascending to superstardom, Chet Holmgren finally healthy, and Jalen Williams blossoming into a two-way force, OKC had the firepower, but what they needed was stability, experience, and edge. Enter Alex Caruso. Acquired in a calculated offseason move, Caruso brought championship DNA, veteran savvy, and a relentless defensive presence. But more than that, he brought a mindset: do the dirty work, never let up, and never let ego get in the way of winning. He wasn't brought in to be a scorer. He was brought in to be the guy who makes winning plays that don't always show up in box scores. And yet, his numbers still spoke volumes. In the playoffs, Caruso averaged 9.2 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 2.0 steals per game, 45% field goal percentage, 41.1% from three-point range. Efficient, disruptive, clutch. But stats alone don't capture what Caruso brought to the floor. He was the glue between the Thunder's explosive offense and their rapidly improving defense. He guarded the opposing team's best perimeter players night after night, switching effortlessly, fighting through screens, and diving for loose balls with the urgency of a man chasing more than just stats. He was chasing legacy. In Game 6 of the Finals, with the Thunder up 3-2 in the series, Caruso delivered perhaps the most defining stretch of his playoff run. Late in the fourth quarter, with the game tied and momentum slipping, he intercepted 2 key passes, knocked down a crucial corner 3, and forced a shot clock violation with relentless on-ball pressure. In a span of 90 seconds, he shifted the entire momentum of the game. The crowd roared. His teammates mobbed him. And Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault summed it up perfectly post-game. He does everything you want from a leader. He sacrifices, he competes, and he never complains. Caruso doesn't care about headlines, he cares about winning. Ironically, it was after winning that the headlines found him again, and not for his play but for a comment that some saw as flippant. Yet inside the Thunder locker room, there was no questioning his value. To the players and coaches, Caruso was the veteran warrior they needed, the calm in the chaos, the player who led not with words but with effort and trust. What made his contribution even more impressive was how well he fit into a system built for youth and speed. At 31, Caruso wasn't the fastest or most athletic guy on the roster. But he was the smartest defender on the floor, constantly communicating, reading plays before they happened, and mentoring younger teammates like a second coach in sneakers. And it wasn't just on the court where his presence was felt. Teammates often praised Caruso's locker room presence. His humor, humility, and ability to lighten the mood during high-pressure moments. He was the veteran who stayed late for extra shooting reps, the one who pulled rookies aside during film sessions, and the one who always kept the bigger picture in mind. For Caruso, this championship wasn't just about redemption from a forgotten quote, it was about validation. It proved he wasn't just a role player carried by LeBron and AD in 2020. He was a proven winner, capable of anchoring a team's identity and pushing them over the edge. This time there were no bubbles. No asterisks. No caveats. It was a full NBA season, grueling travel, intense atmospheres, and a deep playoff gauntlet. And through it all, Alex Caruso stood tall, not just as a contributor but as a champion again. Loyalty in sports runs deep. It's built on shared triumphs, emotional investment, and moments that transcend the game. But it can also be fragile, especially when a beloved figure crosses an unspoken line. That's exactly what happened in the wake of Alex Caruso's post-championship remark. Just minutes after helping the Thunder secure the 2025 NBA title, Caruso made a statement that shook an entire fan base. "Now I've got a real ring. Nobody can say a damn thing." It didn't take long for those words to echo across the internet. At first, many thought it was a joke, a slightly tipsy moment of celebration from a player basking in the glow of a hard-earned victory. But as the quote began to circulate, dissected and reposted with varying tones of outrage, the meaning felt heavier. And the reaction, particularly from Los Angeles Lakers fans, was immediate and harsh. "We made you." That sentiment ran through countless comments on X, formerly Twitter, Reddit threads, Instagram posts, and even sports talk shows. Lakers fans felt blindsided. Caruso had been one of their guys, the undrafted underdog who worked his way from the G League to a starting role on a championship team. He wasn't just a player, he was a symbol. In the Lakers' 2020 title run, he had become a cult hero. Nicknamed Bald Mamba, and known for his gritty defense, hustle plays, and team-first mentality, he had captured the hearts of the Lakers faithful. Memes, jerseys, chants, he was more than a role player. He was a fan favorite in the truest sense. So when he appeared to downplay the value of the 2020 ring, the same ring Lakers fans had celebrated during one of the darkest global periods in modern history, it felt personal. Comments flooded in. "He was nothing without LA. This guy just spit on the only reason we ever cheered for him. You don't get to erase the bubble just because you won somewhere else." Some fans took it even further, creating compilation videos of Caruso's 2020 highlights paired with sarcastic captions like, "Apparently this doesn't count anymore," or "Fake hustle, fake ring." What hurt the most wasn't just the implication that the 2020 championship was somehow less real, it was the perceived ingratitude. Lakers fans had embraced Caruso like few role players before him. They defended him when national media ignored his impact. They campaigned for him to stay in Los Angeles when the front office let him walk. And they celebrated his success in Chicago and Oklahoma City, still wearing his old jersey with pride. But after the comment, that goodwill began to evaporate. Caruso's attempt at damage control, tweeting that he had 3 beers and was being sarcastic, only added fuel to the fire. Many fans saw it as a weak excuse, or worse, an admission that he really did believe the bubble title wasn't fully legitimate. And in sports, once you lose the trust of the fan base that once lifted you, it's incredibly hard to get it back. The shift from hero to villain. In the days following the finals, the narrative around Caruso changed dramatically. Headlines once filled with praise were now peppered with criticism. Podcast hosts debated whether his comment was harmless sarcasm or the ultimate betrayal. Sports shows on television ran split-screen segments, Caruso then versus now. Even the Lakers organization subtly distanced themselves. While no official statement was released, their social media accounts, once quick to congratulate former players on achievements, made no mention of Caruso's victory with the Thunder. Silence in this case spoke volumes. The transformation was swift. Caruso, once viewed as the ultimate team player, had now become a divisive figure. His name no longer brought universal admiration, it sparked debate. But the truth is more complicated. The same qualities that made Caruso successful, his honesty, his confidence, his competitive fire, were the very traits that led him to speak his mind. And in a sports culture that both demands authenticity and punishes imperfection, that's a dangerous line to walk. This wasn't just a fallout over a sentence. It was a reminder of how quickly sports heroes can fall. In the modern era where every word is recorded, clipped, and scrutinized, the space for grace is small. And while the court may be Caruso's sanctuary, his relationship with one of the league's most passionate fan bases will never be the same. In the age of digital media, an athlete's greatest asset isn't just talent or work ethic. It's narrative control. One sentence, one tweet, one facial expression can become a storm, a headline, a meme, or worse, a wedge between them and their legacy. Alex Caruso's now infamous quote, "Now I've got a real ring. Nobody can say a damn thing," became a case study in the modern relationship between athletes, media, and public perception. What he likely meant as a cheeky, beer-fueled comment transformed into a firestorm of criticism, misunderstanding, and damaged loyalty. But the real story is deeper than a single sentence. It's about how words, once released into the digital world, are no longer owned by the speaker. The microphone that never turns off. In post-game interviews, microphones are live, cameras are rolling, and every syllable can go viral in seconds. Athletes today are under more scrutiny than ever before. They aren't just performers. They're personalities, brand ambassadors, spokespeople for causes, and representatives of cities and communities. When Caruso made his comment, it was just moments after winning the NBA championship. Emotions were running high. Adrenaline, exhaustion, and alcohol, all mixed together. But in the media's eyes, none of that matters. Context is optional. Clicks are currency. And Caruso's quote was gold. Within an hour, sports networks had clipped the moment. Social media accounts blasted it out with flame emojis and exclamation marks. Debates ignited. Was it shade at the Lakers? Was it an insult to LeBron and AD? Was it just sarcasm? By the time Caruso tweeted his half apology, the damage was done. In the court of public opinion, intentions mean less than impressions. Athletes as narrators and victims of their own stories. For decades, athletes had to rely on journalists and broadcasters to tell their stories. Today, platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube give them direct access to their audience. It's both empowering and dangerous. Caruso used Twitter to clarify that he was joking. "I had 3 beers. It was sarcasm. 2 rings." but the quote had already gone viral. His clarification reached only a fraction of those who saw the original clip. And worse, it didn't come with the same energy or timing. In the age of internet outrage, the response is never as viral as the offense. Fans expect athletes to be human, to show emotion, to speak candidly. But they also expect perfection. One slip-up, one phrase that challenges a cherished memory, and the response is swift and unforgiving. In Caruso's case, he found himself caught between authenticity and damage control. Had he said nothing, he might have avoided backlash. Had he been more media-trained, perhaps he would have chosen his words more carefully. But would he still have been himself? The modern athlete's dilemma. Athletes are more than just players now, they're brands. They curate content, collaborate with media teams, and carefully shape their image. Yet no matter how controlled that image is, live moments still happen. And in those moments, real emotions can clash with the manufactured polish fans have come to expect. Caruso, known for being grounded, honest, and unfiltered, wasn't trying to start a controversy. He was trying to celebrate. But in doing so, he touched on a sensitive topic, the legitimacy of the 2020 Bubble Championship, and inadvertently alienated the very fans who once revered him. This wasn't just about Caruso. It's about how even a role player's words can set fire to a franchise's emotional history. The lesson? Words spoken in jest can become knives in memory. And in a sports culture where loyalty and perception are everything, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time can reshape a career's narrative in just a few seconds. In professional sports, few things are as complex, or as emotionally charged, as the idea of loyalty. For fans, it's sacred. For players, it's situational. But for champions like Alex Caruso, who now holds rings from two different teams under vastly different circumstances, loyalty and legacy often pull in opposite directions. When Caruso left the Los Angeles Lakers in 2021, many fans were heartbroken. He wasn't a superstar, but he embodied what fans love: grit, heart, hustle. He was one of them. And in the 2020 bubble run, his contributions were critical: a defensive anchor, a momentum changer, and a selfless teammate. But professional sports are rarely sentimental. Caruso signed with the Chicago Bulls, chasing a new role, new opportunities, and financial security the Lakers weren't willing to match. Even then, Lakers fans didn't resent him. They celebrated him from afar. He was still ours. Then came Oklahoma City. And now, with a second championship in hand and a comment perceived as a dig at the past, Caruso's dual allegiance raises a powerful question. Can a player truly belong to more than one fan base, especially when those fan bases feel betrayed by one another? The identity crisis of the journeyman champion. Not every player spends his entire career with one franchise. In fact, most don't. The NBA is a business. Trades, contracts, opportunities. But when a player wins titles with multiple teams, his legacy becomes split. Each city wants to claim a part of him, yet each demands full loyalty. In LA, Caruso was the underdog made good. In OKC, he was the missing veteran piece that pushed a young team to greatness. Each version of him mattered, each ring was earned. But the tension lies in the perception of favoritism. The second you elevate one ring over another, one fanbase over another, you risk alienating those who helped build your story. Caruso didn't intend to erase 2020. But by calling his Thunder ring real, he inadvertently implied that the Lakers' championship was somehow less, that the sacrifices, pressure, and effort in the bubble were inferior to a more traditional season. To OKC fans, it was validation. To Lakers fans, it was betrayal. Can fans share a hero? Shared heroes are rare in sports. Think of players like Shaquille O'Neal, who won with both the Lakers and the Heat. Or Kawhi Leonard, who earned Finals MVPs in both San Antonio and Toronto. In those cases, both fanbases still revere the player, but the relationship is rarely equal. For Lakers fans, Caruso wasn't just a champion. He was family. His image was printed on shirts, painted in murals, and worn with pride in the stands of Crypto.com Arena. His story resonated, undrafted, unheralded, and unforgettable. But after the Thunder title and the remark that followed, many fans feel like they were given up, swapped out for something newer, flashier, more authentic. It hurts not because Caruso left. It hurts because it now feels like he forgot where he started. On the other side, OKC fans have embraced him with open arms. For them, Caruso is a champion who chose them, added value, and performed under pressure. They don't carry the emotional baggage of 2020. They see him as he is now, a key cog in a historic championship run. And so the tug-of-war begins. Both fan bases want ownership. But legacy, like love, can be complicated. A legacy still in motion. What happens next is up to Caruso. His legacy isn't written in full, not yet. He could go on to win another ring, mentor a new generation, or even return to Los Angeles one day. Time has a way of softening wounds, especially in sports. But the chapter written in 2025, with the Thunder triumph and the quote that followed, is now permanent. It's part of his story, part of his image, and part of how both fan bases will remember him. The question isn't whether Caruso belongs to LA or OKC. The question is whether fans will allow a player to belong to both. In the end, legacy isn't about being owned by one team. It's about being remembered, for better or worse, by all. More than 5 years have passed since the NBA concluded its unprecedented 2020 season inside a tightly controlled bubble at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And yet, even now, the legitimacy of that championship is still a topic of heated debate among fans, analysts, and players alike. Alex Caruso's infamous post-2025 championship comment, "Now I've got a real ring," didn't emerge in a vacuum. It struck a nerve because it touched on a fragile topic. Was the 2020 bubble title real enough? Or forever asterisked in the minds of some? A season like no other. To understand the debate, we must revisit the context. The 2019 to 2020 NBA season was suspended in March due to the global COVID-19 pandemic. Months of uncertainty followed. When the league resumed in July, it was under strict health protocols, in a completely closed environment. No travel. No home court advantage. No fans. Just 22 teams, daily testing, and high-stakes games inside empty gyms. It was basketball at its most raw and mentally grueling form. Players were isolated from their families for months. They lived in hotel rooms. They played under intense mental stress, navigating not just the pressure of competition but fear, loneliness, and the weight of a global health crisis. For many, the bubble became as much a psychological test as a physical one. And yet, some fans and media figures continue to treat the Lakers' 2020 championship as less than. What? The legitimacy question. Critics of the bubble championship often cite these factors. No travel. Teams didn't endure the usual wear and tear of cross-country flights and hostile arenas. No fans. The pressure and momentum swings created by packed arenas were gone. Unnatural conditions. Teams were sequestered for weeks, an environment no other champion ever faced. To some, the title felt like a glorified summer league. Intense, yes, but missing the chaos and energy that define NBA playoffs. This perception, fair or not, continues to cloud how some view the 2020 Lakers. On the other hand, supporters argue that the bubble was perhaps the purest form of basketball. No distractions. No crowd influence. Just talent, focus, and execution. If anything, winning in those conditions required more mental strength than any other season. LeBron James himself, Finals MVP that year, has passionately defended the title's legitimacy, calling it one of the toughest championships in league history. Caruso was a vital part of that journey. And yet, with one off-the-cuff comment in 2025, he appeared to undermine it, reopening a wound that never truly healed. The ring that divides. What makes the 2020 title so unique is that it simultaneously unified and divided. For Lakers fans, it was a beacon of hope during a dark time, a rare moment of joy amid global despair. For many, that title holds even more emotional value than those earned in normal years. It was more than basketball. It was survival, resilience. But for others, the visual absence of fans and the quiet, empty gyms make the championship feel disconnected from the traditional NBA theater. It lacks the cinematic drama of a Game 7 in a roaring arena. It doesn't look or feel the same. That's what made Caruso's real ring comment so potent. To some, it was confirmation of a suspicion long held but rarely voiced by players, that even those inside the bubble questioned the authenticity of what they had achieved. Whether or not that was his intention, the message landed like a thunderclap, redefining what's real. Ultimately, the question isn't whether the 2020 title counts. It does, officially, statistically, and historically. The real question is what fans and players believe a championship should be. Is it about surviving 82 games and the chaos of playoffs in deafening arenas? Or is it about overcoming whatever challenges the moment presents, even if those challenges are entirely unique? The bubble title was a test of will, discipline, and unity. It stripped the game down to its essence. And in that crucible, Alex Caruso shined. To dismiss that now, even unintentionally, is to forget how much was risked and endured. In the end, the 2020 title may always sit in a strange space, respected but debated, celebrated but questioned. And for players like Caruso, it will forever be part of their legacy whether they acknowledge it the same way or not. It was a sentence that echoed across the NBA world. Now I've got a real ring. Nobody can say a damn thing. Delivered in the afterglow of a championship victory with the Oklahoma City Thunder, the comment came off as pointed, sarcastic, and dismissive of his earlier title with the Lakers. But behind every controversial moment in sports lies a more nuanced truth. In Caruso's case, the remark likely wasn't just about comparing rings. It may have been about recognition, resentment, and redemption. A role player's struggle for respect. Alex Caruso has never been the face of a franchise. He doesn't dominate highlight reels. He wasn't a top draft pick or a media darling. But those who watch closely know his value: defense, hustle, unselfishness, leadership. In 2020, when the Lakers won the championship in the bubble, Caruso was essential. He played hard minutes, guarded the toughest assignments, and delivered in key moments. And yet, when the dust settled, his name was rarely mentioned in the same breath as the stars. The spotlight never really touched him. Even after winning a ring, Caruso was let go. The Lakers chose not to match the Bulls' contract offer. That decision, business as it may have been, likely planted a seed. Was I ever really appreciated? Years later, that doubt may have still lingered, waiting for the right or wrong moment to erupt. Validation through victory. Winning with the Thunder wasn't just another ring for Caruso. It was personal. He joined a team on the rise, filled with young talent but missing playoff experience. He wasn't just a contributor. He was a veteran leader, a locker room anchor, a stabilizing force when it mattered most. For the first time, Caruso wasn't the underappreciated role player in someone else's story. He was central. And when he stood at center court as a two-time NBA champion, emotions overflowed. That's what made the comment sting. It wasn't just a comparison between two trophies. It was a public, unscripted moment of release, and maybe quiet revenge. In those few words, Caruso may have been saying, "This time people saw me. This wasn't LeBron's team, it was our team. This wasn't a ring I had to defend, it was one I could own." The psychology of underdogs. Underdogs live in a constant state of contradiction. They're praised for exceeding expectations, but rarely treated as irreplaceable. They carry teams in silence and are often forgotten in celebration. Caruso spent most of his early career trying to prove he belonged. Even after the bubble championship, the question never quite went away. Joining the Thunder was more than a career move, it was a reset. It allowed him to step out of the shadow of the Lakers' legacy and build something new, something that was his. So when the confetti fell and the cameras rolled, the comment he made wasn't just about basketball. It was the culmination of years of quiet frustration, overlooked effort, and a desire to finally say, "I told you so." The danger of honesty in the spotlight. Professional athletes are trained to be polished, cautious, and calculated in the media. But fans often say they want authenticity, the raw, unfiltered truth. The problem? When that truth doesn't match the fan narrative, backlash follows. Caruso's comment was authentic. Maybe a little intoxicated, maybe poorly phrased, but undeniably honest. In a moment of triumph, he said what he felt. That's rare. And in today's viral media landscape, it's also risky. His words weren't meant to hurt. But they did. Especially for those who thought they knew him, those who cheered him on during his rise, and those who believed the 2020 title was something sacred. Yet from Caruso's perspective, it wasn't about disrespecting the past, it was about finally feeling seen in the present. In sports, heroes are built not just on performance but on the emotions they inspire. Fans invest their loyalty, passion, and identity into players, making them larger-than-life figures. But when those heroes stumble, especially in the court of public opinion, the fall can be swift and unforgiving. Alex Caruso's post-championship comment after winning with the Oklahoma City Thunder ignited a firestorm of backlash that exposed the fragile nature of fan devotion and the heavy price of honesty. From cheers to jeers, Caruso was beloved in Los Angeles. Known for his blue-collar work ethic, defensive grit, and humble demeanor, he represented everything Lakers fans admired. His journey from undrafted rookie to NBA champion was a story of perseverance. But his statement, "Now I've got a real ring. Nobody can say a damn thing," struck like a thunderbolt. Social media exploded. Fans who once cheered him now accused him of disrespect, betrayal, and arrogance. Twitter threads filled with insults, memes, and harsh judgments. "You loved posing with 2 fingers up, huh? He threw all his bubble teammates under the bus. I'm done rooting for him. I liked him until today." The rapid shift in sentiment highlighted a brutal reality. In the digital age, admiration can flip overnight. The echo chamber of social media. Social media magnifies every word, twisting meanings and stripping nuance. Caruso's sarcasm was lost on many, replaced by raw emotion and tribal loyalty. Memes, reaction videos, and heated debates filled feeds, reinforcing division between Thunder and Lakers fans. Many Lakers supporters felt personally insulted, not just by the words, but by what they perceived as a dismissal of their cherished 2020 championship memory. Online outrage snowballed. Supporters who tried to explain or defend Caruso were often drowned out by louder voices demanding accountability, apologies, clarifications, and the limits of damage control. Caruso's attempt to explain himself, tweeting, "I had 3 beers. It was sarcasm. 2 rings," was an effort to stem the tide. But in controversies fueled by emotion and quick judgment, apologies often fall short. Many fans felt it was too little, too late. The damage was done. The incident became a cautionary tale about how celebrations can backfire, and how athletes' words carry enormous weight in the social media era. When heroes become human. What this backlash reveals is how fans hold athletes to near mythical standards, but also how quickly that pedestal can crumble. Caruso was human. Flawed. Emotional. Honest. His comment reflected the complex feelings of an athlete balancing pride, frustration, and desire for respect. But fans, deeply invested in their own narratives, saw it as a betrayal. The episode exposed the tension between authenticity and expectation, between the private emotions of players and the public narratives fans build around them. Moving forward, the question now is whether Caruso can rebuild trust with the Lakers fanbase or if the divide is permanent. Can time heal wounds caused by a few words? Can a player truly belong to 2 fan bases? More broadly, Caruso's experience serves as a lesson to athletes and fans alike. In today's hyper-connected world, words matter more than ever, and the line between celebration and controversy is razor-thin. The saga surrounding Alex Caruso's post-championship comments is more than a momentary controversy. It's a microcosm of evolving dynamics in professional sports, athlete-fan relationships, and the power of words in the digital age. As the dust settles, what can players, franchises, and fans take away from this episode? What does it say about the future of loyalty, legacy, and respect in sports? Athlete authenticity versus public perception. Fans crave authenticity, raw, unfiltered access to the emotions and thoughts of their heroes. But when players speak honestly, it can disrupt the carefully crafted narratives fans hold dear. Caruso's words were genuine, but they collided with fan expectations. This tension will only grow as athletes increasingly use social media to express themselves directly. The lesson? Athletes need to balance honesty with awareness of their platform's impact. And fans too must learn to accept complexity in their heroes, embracing their flaws as part of what makes them human. The evolving nature of loyalty. Gone are the days when players spent entire careers with a single franchise. Modern sports are a business of movement. Contracts, trades, and free agency shape careers more than hometown loyalty. Caruso's journey illustrates the challenge. Players can be loved in multiple cities, but the fans' emotional investment often resists sharing. This calls for a more nuanced understanding of loyalty. It's not just about geography but about respect, contribution, and communication. Players must be mindful of their words and actions, but fans must also recognize the realities of professional sports. Legacy is complicated. Championships are milestones, but they don't tell the whole story. Legacy includes character, relationships, growth, and the ability to navigate both triumph and controversy. Caruso's legacy now includes this moment of tension, but also the resilience to move forward. How he rebuilds bridges, embraces humility, and continues to perform will shape how he is remembered. The power and peril of social media. Social media is a double-edged sword. It offers a direct line from athlete to fan but also amplifies every misstep. Caruso's comment quickly spiraled into a viral controversy, showing how a few words can ignite widespread debate and emotional responses. The future requires better media literacy from fans and thoughtful communication from players, who must navigate this landscape carefully. For the fans, compassion and context. Fans often live their passion intensely. But this episode shows the value of compassion and context. Players are human beings with complex emotions and motivations. Sometimes they speak imperfectly. Forgiveness and understanding can foster healthier, more sustainable fan-player relationships. A new chapter begins. As Caruso and the NBA move forward, this controversy may become a footnote, a learning experience that adds depth to the story. What remains is a reminder: sports are about people and people are imperfect. Championships come and go, but how we handle conflict, communicate honestly, and respect one another defines the true legacy.